Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Folks How. So this is a brand new video again where in our previous video we have learnt about button, label and text input, right? These were the few design components which were very much important in any app possible, right? So today we're going to learn few other design components which are present in Code Studio, which is applab, right? So let's see the other few components today. And if you have not watched my previous videos, please go back to my channel Folks Hub, go to my playlist applab, and do check out my other videos on the applab so that you can understand this video better. Yes, coming back to the content again. So in the last video, we have seen what is a button and what is a text input and a label. So let's just again brief this all up by understanding what is a button first. So a button is nothing but a clickable component which can be used to click something and do some action on that click, right? So and then we have a text input box here. So text input box is something where when you want to take some input from your user, you will be using this. And then we have a label. So label is something where you can display some text on it. So all these three design components have some unique properties and IDs. IDs are nothing but which is used to code your app. While coding, your computer doesn't really know what component it is, but it only knows the ID which you're using. So always you have to give a unique name to your ID, and each and every component should have a different name which should not match with the other component. Only then, while you're coding your app, you will not have any confusion between the elements and there's no error given by the computer too. So if you're giving the same IDs, then definitely your computer will throw an error. Now, let's see what is our next component in the design palette here. In the design toolbox, we have Dropdown. So to check out what is a Dropdown and the features of the Dropdown, let's first add a new screen to our app. So I wanted to show you how to add a new screen, which is like you just have to click on this and then click on a new screen, or let me just click on this. Yeah, you're getting a new screen here. Now, if you don't want to add it like this, then you have a special design component which is screen here. So if you just drag and drop this component, you're getting another screen named screen 3. So like you can see, you can add multiple screens to your app by just dragging and dropping this component, or you can click on this drop down here and then click on new screen. So this is about adding a new screen and the screen component here. Okay, so this is about screen component, and I also spoke about the drop down here. So let's again get back to screen 2 and drag and drop this drop down component and understand in brief what exactly is this. So drop down is another component which is used to give options to your user. So when you have multiple options to be given to your user which user can choose from, then you will be using a drop down component. Like while filling the forms, you should be using these kind of drop downs for selecting some option. So like when you're filling a interview form or when you're applying for a job, then you will be having a drop down where you will be choosing your college name, or you will be having a drop down where you will be choosing your work experience, and so on like this. So all these are examples where drop downs can be used. And of course, drop down is nothing but a component which is used to give options to your user. This is the basic generic definition of the drop down. Now, so let's see how to customize this drop down again. So how to give the options and how to design this. Accordingly, like we have the ID here. So ID is always drop down one. This is the default ID. Like in the last video we saw, button had button one, then text input had text input one, and label had label one. Similarly, drop down has drop down one. Okay. And then we have the options thing here. So this is where you can start writing or start giving your options. So let's say, let's suppose I want to give options as colors. So I can give the first option as select option. so that user can actually understand what he has to do over here on this drop down. So select option is my first basic option which I'm giving, where when you click on this, nothing should happen. Like in the coding, you should not give any priority to this one. And for the other options, when they are clicking on that particular option, some event should occur, some action should happen or take place. So we'll be understanding how to code all these components in our coding classes. So as this is a design video which we are seeing now, so I'm not getting in detail to how to use coding for this drop down. So yes, this is my first option, select option or select color. You, as if you want to be so appropriate, then you can give select color. Now, then my first option will be red, orange, green, pink, purple, blue, yellow. Yeah. I hope these are enough for now, right? So let's check out whether this is actually showing all the options or not, right? Okay, so we have not done any coding yet. So let me just write set screen. Set screen is nothing but which screen to start off with. However, I will be discussing about this in your next videos also. Now, so I'm just choosing screen 2, set screen, screen 2, and then click on run so that you can see screen 2 is directly getting started here. And yes, we have all the options which are listed in the options thing, right? So let's get back to design again. Let's go back to screen 2. Yes. So click on drop down to just get the properties of drop down. Then we have index. We'll discuss about the index a little later in our videos. And then with height, X position, Y position, text color, background color, all these are the same options which we had for our other components: font family, font size, text alignment. Then we have border width, border color, all border properties basically. If you want your component to be hidden, you can actually choose this so that it gets hidden for some time, right? Again, when some event occurs, only then if you want to display this component, yes, you absolutely can do that. We will be seeing this while we are actually doing a fully functional app. Okay, so this is about the drop down, and I hope you understood what a drop down is. A drop down is something which is used while you are giving options to your user. This is it. Now, let's see what is a radio button. So I'm just dragging this radio button here. So like you might have seen such kind of radio buttons in your forms again. So when you want to agree something, so it's like I agree statement which you have. So you will always have a radio button there, right? Or a checkbox sometimes. But yes, mostly we can use radio buttons for I agree statements, like because only one option has to be chosen, right? So when you want to give multiple options to your user, okay, and then if you want the user to be only choosing one particular thing, one particular option from the given options, then you will be using radio buttons. Unlike this radio button, we have a checkbox component too. So I want to tell you about both of them together so that you will understand the difference easily. So I'm just dragging out this checkbox component over here. So radio button is something, if you have three options, like three radio buttons, let's suppose. So these three radio buttons here, if I want to choose one, so I have to click on it and it will be chosen. Okay. So you can't really choose the other two options once you're choosing the first one or second one or third one, right? So this is about a radio button. And checkbox. Checkbox is something where if you're wanting to choose multiple options, right? So if you want your user to choose more than two options, more than one option at a time, then you can give a checkbox, right? So this is the difference between a radio button and a checkbox. Okay, so when you have multiple options, you will be using radio buttons or checkboxes. Again, in these multiple options also, if you want your user to be choosing only one single option, then you will be using a radio button. If you want your user to be choosing more than one options, that means multiple options, then you will be using checkboxes. Okay. So now let's get back to the properties of radio buttons here. So ID is radio button 3, just because I have 3 radio buttons here and I'm clicking on the third one. And group ID is radio group 1. So we can group these options, right? So because if we have multiple questions, let's suppose I have 3 questions in my quiz app which I am creating. So these 3 questions will have four options individually. So radio group 1 will be the first question options, radio group 2 will be the second question options, and so on, right? So this is how the group ID works. And then we have width, height, x position, y position, hidden and check read, right? So hidden to hide your component, check read if you want to check it, right? Like this. Okay. So if you want to choose it by default, right? So I don't want it to be chosen, so we can leave it like this. Okay. So this is all about your radio button. And let's get back to our checkbox component. So I'm just clicking on checkbox. You can see the ID. Here we do not have any groups. Like I told you, we can actually choose multiple checkboxes, right? So that's why with height, x position and y position, same way, hidden and check read. Sorry, checked. So yeah, if you want to check it, you can absolutely check it. If you uncheck it, it is unchecked. Okay. So this is absolutely up to you if you want your user to be having that by default, or he has to click on it, right? So I agree. While you are installing any application, you will get I agree statements, right? So there you will be seeing this kind of radio buttons or checkboxes. Okay. So this is all about the other 3 components which we are using. And I will be getting back to you again in the next video by telling you what is image, canvas, screen, and so on, right? So we have discussed about 4 components today: drop down, radio button, checkbox, and a screen component. So this is all for today, guys. Let's meet in the next video where I will be talking about the other few components which are present in the applab, right? I hope you're enjoying my videos. Thank you so much for your support. Please do like, comment, and share, and subscribe to my channel, Fox Hub. Bye bye, guys. Meet you in the next video.